What's going on, everybody? All right, nighttime. I took some time to pull away from everything. There was one video today that I wanted to make, but I wanted to just be able to put the words out there properly, like my thoughts on everything. It's the AMC case. Brian Tuttle, he emailed a bunch of people that have YouTube channels. So I got the email earlier today, and it's regarding his right there, the motion for declaratory relief. Okay, I'm going to say my piece on this. And I think it's going to be the quickest way to understand this. One, I'm not an attorney. Two, I don't like attorneys. Three, I don't technically like courts. I'm involved in like bazillion million dollar type lawsuits right now. And I don't, it's just not my world. But that being said, this lawsuit comes at the same time where I'm at the highest level of not wanting to deal with lawsuits. But I took some time to pull away and take a look at this, and now I'm going to give my thoughts on it, which is fine because Brian Tuttle, asked the people that he emailed to give their thoughts on his motion for declaratory relief. And this is what I'm going to say. That motion for declaratory relief puts the vice chancellor in a position where she would have to basically state on the relief that you want that those voting rights should have never been transferred or sold off to the other side. I'm just shortening it down, and I agree with you 100%. But please understand, the vice chancellor is in a situation where she has a defendant and a plaintiff, Allegheny and AMC, that are both agreeing on a settlement. Now, the vice chancellor has pulled the case to the side to make sure that our interests are also protected on this because there's some funky stuff happening here. So my thing is this: if she gives that declaratory relief that APE shouldn't have, been, the voting rights transferred over to the other side for them to have the votes, and you get the whole picture. If she does that, yes, she technically kills the settlement. But the problem is, and this is what I'm taking in, and I'm not an attorney, but here's the thing. Right now, the defendant and the plaintiff are in agreement on the settlement. This is a very awkward situation. If I was in New York, I would just bounce this through a couple of people that I know there. But I'm just thinking to myself, like, she's gonna have to at some point come up with an okay settlement number allowing this to go forward. Now, she could turn around and say, like the declaratory relief says, because I think she's on the verge of saying it, that APE should have never been created to transfer over voting rights over. But then that goes against both parties that want to settle. Ryan, I'm going to tell you this directly. I'm thinking instead of, now you already filed this, instead of spending your energy and time and resources on this lawsuit, which is basically Allegheny and AMC both in agreement on something, you may want to think about possibly another lawsuit, your own lawsuit, where the claims that you've put out, which I agree with 100%, should be decided there. Maybe it's another TRO that has to be put there in another court. Maybe you should look into putting something in a federal court. That's something where I would basically, if I was going to sue because I feel that, APE created losses to my portfolio and it was some type of a scheme, fraud, whatever, like you have, put out there, I think that you've done what you've done for this case. I think the vice chancellor is in a very awkward spot. I know she's trying to protect us as well, but I think that what you're trying to do is you're trying to squeeze into a lawsuit right now that in many ways the outcome is clear. There has to be a settlement. It's not going to be a settlement that we want. I know that, but it's going to have to happen because the defendant and the plaintiff, the both parties have already agreed. The judge just has to, put her opinion out there. Now, we might get lucky and some weird thing, and she said APE was never supposed to, yada, yada, yada. I can't approve this settlement. And basically, let's say she turns around and she tells Allegheny, okay, there's no settlement. Well, technically speaking, there's no settlement and there's no court case anymore because let's say, what is her actions? Let's say she turns around and she rules in favor of Allegheny, but Allegheny wants the settlement. Like, do you understand the weird world we're in? This is a settlement lawsuit. Like right now, we're in a settlement phase. That's what this is. You know, Allegheny just wants to make their money. Popcorn's willing to pay whatever to get this thing settled. I don't really know how right now our vice chancellor, the vice chancellor, can put that declaratory relief out and interject our wants and wishes onto a case that technically both parties have already agreed that they want to settle. All I can say is this. Out of everything that's going on now, the best thing that I feel is that we got time. Time is the number one thing. I think that the vice chancellor has already made her decision up. I think how they're going to word it and go forward. Yes, we all know we got frauded. We all know there was a scheme. We all know Abe should have never transferred over voting rights over. We know all those things, but just think, how is the vice chancellor going to execute all this? I am a stock guy. I am a financial tech guy, whatever. That's my background. I'm not a courts guy. I avoid investments that are in lawsuits. It's just not something I do. People should know that by now. But since we're in it, and I said we're going to be in it, I think the best thing we have right now is time. Is she going to rule on this declaratory relief? Declaration? I don't know. I applaud you for trying to interject yourself in it and pointing everything out. But maybe at the end of the day, your information will be better served in another court. There you go.